It is no secret that George R. R. Martin has a lot of characters, a lot of plot lines, and a ton of complexity in his A Song of Ice and Fire story. He went so crazy at one point, he had to break down one of his books into two. And now he's struggling to finish the series because of all the plot threads and many characters he has to write for. Turns out there's actually a reason for all that, and it sorta sounds like revenge. So before George wrote the Song of Ice and Fire series, he worked on many television shows as a writer. It would probably be accurate to say George loves writing for television more than he's ever liked writing novels. However, when he worked on shows in the 1980s, he was often met with script cuts and being told he had too many characters and his plots would require too much money to make. George once said this about writing in the 1980s.
They would say, "George, we can't do this. This is 5 times our budget. It's way too big. You have too many characters. Can you combine some of them from this giant battle at the end where there's 10,000 people on each side? Can that be a duel between the hero and the villain?" Which led to him having to revise and rewrite his scripts into second and third drafts, which he did not like. He said that he always loved his first draft the best, which then made him vow that when he got out of television and wrote novels, he'd make it as long as he damn well pleased. So on that, George shared before, "So I would revise in the second draft and the third draft. I would trim, I would combine, I would cut, and that was fine. The things that were made turned out pretty well, but I never really liked doing it. And finally, after 10 years, when I left TV for a while and got back into writing novels, I said, I'm gonna write something that's as big as my imagination. It'll never be made into a film, I thought, because it'll be a budget buster. But I'm going to have these insane huge castles, and I'm going to have dragons and direwolves, and I'm going to have armies with 10,000 men in them. I'm gonna have so many major characters to reflect the complexity of a fairly complex plot." And I did all of that, and it was very, very liberating to be able to just write what I thought would make a good story and not have to worry about, can they possibly do it? So yeah, I guess working in television was a godsend because we got the amazingly complex series we have in A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, despite the technology being way better nowadays and them able to cut costs because of that, George talked about how once more the cost is creeping up. House of the Dragon has dragons, which, takes a ton of money to create on screen. George has no idea how to solve this growing expense, and he worries with how obsessed people are with the very best special effects, where television and film will be in 10 or 20 years. However, his solution to that is the same as before when faced with the problem. Just write novels. He shared, "But the great thing about writing books is I don't have to worry about that. I can create anything I want in the books. I can have the battles as big as they want. I can have entire cities destroyed. I can have dragons." Okay, I know the easy jab here would be to say, "Oh, cool, if you're so excited about writing novels, where's wins, George?" But I'm not gonna take that jab. George, write more A Song of Ice and Fire.